Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, my beautiful empresses. This is Embody Your Empress. I'm your host, Sarah King, and today we are joined with a beautiful guest, Michelle Leck. Welcome.
Hello, Sarah. So lovely to be here.
Ah, I just love your vibrant smile. I know for anyone listening, they can't see it, but anyone who is out there listening, go and check out the clips because it is just so captivating, so illuminating, and I love that it really encompasses what you do. Like your life's work is to work with people, especially women, to illuminate themselves, essentially, right?
Absolutely. I feel like, yeah, just radiance, like what we've got, all of us have that right to feel our most radiant self. And I want every woman, well, every human, but every woman particularly, to really have that opportunity to feel that. It's there.
It is there. It is there. Often, that's the part of us that we can pull that curtain over, right? We get so caught up in the humanness and the mundaneness of this 3D world, and yet when we actually whip open that curtain and allow that radiance to shine, everybody notices. Everybody sees it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so easy to let everything happen, and we often feel it's happening to us, like we've got that, oh, it's all happening to me, and we're internalizing that, and our energy's feeling that, and we're getting stuck with that. And yeah, just to be able to just to help women shift that perspective, even just like that little 1% can be enough to really just to see something differently. And yeah, quite often that can ripple on and begin to flow.
Oh, I can. I can. I'm like, oh, I want to ask you all the questions now, but maybe we should tell everyone a little bit about yourself and a little bit more about your mission. Do you want to introduce us to Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sarah. I am a woman now in my 50s. I'm menopausal, and I've been through the journey of perimenopause, and actually that, perimenopause for many women, actually I would say pretty much all of us, it's such a time where yeah, you can feel it too, Sarah. It's like everything that we've pushed down starts to come up. And it's messy, and it's a really, or can be really an uncomfortable time for women. And I'm certainly not going to gloss over that because I've felt it. And for me, it was a journey that what came up for me was breast cancer, and it brought everything with it. And so, yeah, that was a really big journey, but one that needed to happen. And now in menopause, I can really reflect back on that journey, and a lot of the tools that I use, I certainly have experienced myself. Like it's been part of my journey, and it now becomes very much a mission of mine as a breast cancer thriver to really let's let's let go of the conditioning. We all grow up in families, in society, in cultures that all of this conditioning that we don't even know, it's invisible. And it certainly adds on to those layers. And then hello, perimenopause, menopause, and if we've pushed it down, it's going to come up. And yeah, in a big way sometimes. So it's actually one of those times statistically that women go through divorce, maybe a health crisis. There's always something there that will actually be, it's actually for our benefit, even though it doesn't feel like it at the time. So yeah, I won't go too much into that, but just so you know that that has been a big part of my journey, and it definitely frames, yeah, frames how I move forward as well. Mm,
Oh my gosh, we are so aligned today. I've just popped a post on my Instagram saying about one of my biggest implants, my limiting beliefs was that I was unlovable.
yeah.
And throughout my healing journey, like in the past 4 years, I had the separation, the divorce, everything fell apart, trying to find my own 2 feet. And through my healing journey, like I went searching for the tools to help myself through that. And now I help others as well. It's the journey we go through. But
Beautiful.
that limiting belief that I uncovered was that I felt unlovable. And that was implanted before I was even born. Like that was how far back it went. And
Absolutely.
absolutely right. And then I can see now throughout my life that has played with male figures, and why I come to, I wrote my book, joking, it's almost joking about my dating, not mistakes, but my lessons learned through being single as a woman with, coming from a marriage, going with children, and these funny things that happen when you sort of, I don't want to say later in life, I'm not that old, but, with some life experience. And yet, uncovering all that was my self love and my self worth, and how depleted they were from those like very, very early implants. So
Mm.
coming into, I've just turned 40 now this year, coming into 40 with the perimenopause about like either hitting or about to hit, like it's getting super close. Like the shedding of the layers. For me, this year's healing journey, I've literally just written about it, has magnified, and the layers are coming off quicker and quicker. And sometimes I feel like I'm a duck underwater, like I can't keep up. I'm like,
Yeah,
there's new levels of everything. Like it's feeling more intense. It's not lasting as long, but it's more intense with the more work that I do and the more support that I am for other people. You said 1% we can change, we can make a difference. What kind
absolutely.
of tools do you have for that 1%?
Yeah, great question. Just stepping back a little bit there too, like I just want to honor your journey, Sarah, because it's very much a common thread. It is such an epic journey. And to be able to bring the awareness every time you're mentioning it, then it quickens. But actually, if we don't bring awareness to it, it's just going to keep us stuck. So I really
Mm.
just want to honor that. It's big work, and it's great that that's happening.
It's
And
big work and it's all related. Like every lesson, every segment, you might think, like you said before, you're like, it might feel quite isolated. But if you actually step back in reflection, it's quite relatable to that those implanted beliefs that we travel with.
And sometimes those beliefs can even be, like you said, before we're born. Like this is lineage work, isn't it?
Mm.
It's very much, sometimes we don't even know where it comes from, but it's there. So absolutely. And I feel like, yeah, I know my lineage has certainly shaped my core beliefs as well. And yeah, just that unlovable one and that unworthy, it's a really big one for women. And, it's one that we pass on from, our mothers, our grandmothers, they pass it on. And then hopefully we don't then pass it on to our girls in particular. I'm actually quite passionate about girl
Mm.
circles and women's circles for that. We can support each other and move through. But in terms of personally tools that I went to or was drawn to, like, so very much, yeah, like even noticing breast cancer at the time, there was a lot of burnout for me around that time. I hadn't experienced burnout in that epic way up until that point. And but what I was really noticing was how in tune with my energy and my body I still was, that I was feeling this, and I know you'll understand this from an energy perspective, Sarah, too, just feeling this warmth and this red heat, and it wasn't going away. And it was like, just kept drawing me back to my body. And for a long time, I didn't listen. And then at one point, I'm like, oh, okay, that's not going away. And so then that actually brought me through into the awareness of what that was. And yeah, and then from that point, I kept really just tuning into where my curiosity went. And I went to sound healing first. So, very much in use sound and vibration as tools to actually for my own healing. And yeah, really. And then into energy healing as well. So, energy work and back into the body. So, it was very much for me around returning back to the body and yoga nidra. Yoga nidra has been such a big tool for me around changing. So going in through the energy bodies. So you've got, yeah, all the different layers. So your physical, mental, emotional, wisdom body, bliss body. So going into, because we're not just our physical body, so moving into all of those bodies and letting go of the ego, going back in through a guided journey, so a visualization back in through the energy layers, and actually going into those subconscious beliefs and patterns and being able to see them. So it's a very gentle process, even though we're going through all of that ickiness and all of that messiness. And then you can go into this yoga nidra gentle process. And actually, I realized that changing these beliefs doesn't happen, in some of these ways that we're really trying really hard to change them. It can happen in the bliss body. It doesn't have to be, yeah, really, but yeah. So it's been a really beautiful tool and one that I really love to share.
I think that is a fabulous point to bring up because often it is depicted out in society that that a transformation or a change in your state needs to look almost horrific.
Yeah,
Like, I'm thinking the image that coming to my head is like a horror movie. It has to be ripped out like an exorcism, and then only then you are, air quotes, healed of that thing or transformed from that. I mean, we all know if you've started this process, the journey is always ongoing. It's always there. There are just different layers coming up, and it can be done in a beautiful, blissful, joyful state as well. And I guess intention can modify that, and also what you're open to, and also what you're ready for.
yeah.
I have been on retreats where one morning we've been doing quite intense, heavy somatic work. And then by lunchtime, we are all laughing around the table and in fits of hysterical laughter, and both are just as healing.
Absolutely, Sarah. And I worked this weekend on a beautiful retreat, every woman retreat, and I offered yoga nidra each morning to the women, and it was absolutely incredible. But what I personally took away from the end of this was when the theme was around unfurling our wings. So really just, yeah, you can feel it, can't you? Just
Oh,
opening up, heart expansion. But what I received at the end was this feeling of when one woman soars, we all soar. So it's really important that we don't have to do this work alone. Like we do it together. And
we and we
mm,
were designed that way. We lived tribally. We lived together. And yet now we are isolated in our little houses.
yeah,
We can still come together and share our hearts and share what's on our mind and lift our energy. We know that collectively energy lifts together. That has been studied scientifically. Is that why the ripple effect is so important?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I just really feel that to move forward as a collective, we need this change. We need this revolution through rest. We're very much cultured, in a culture where we're conditioned to keep pushing, and our worth sometimes is around our productivity, our output and what we've got to show for it and what we've done. And yeah, like I would love to flip that. And yes, there's a purpose for every, we need structure in our day. Otherwise, we're not going to get anything done. However, do we need our worth to be dependent on that? I don't think so. I think that is really critical to perhaps bringing in that change that our culture needs right now. We need that feminine essence of valuing the cycles and the seasons and the rest that nothing continues in that linear form that just keeps going. Like that's going to end up in burnout, which, hello, we've been there. I don't
We
want
know
to go back
that's not
there.
a great place to end up. We know that, and yet we push it.
We
Um,
do.
Literally, like that is something for me. Whenever I've stopped to pause, I hear voices of other people in my brain going, "You're lazy, Sarah.
Yeah,
You're not being productive enough. Who do you think you are to sit down and relax?" And that comes back to that unworthiness piece, right? Am I worthy enough to rest my body? No, I've got to show that I'm worthy of everything and do all the things. Um,
definitely. It
and
runs deep.
it
Yeah,
does. It's unwinding that conditioning and telling telling that voice inside my mind that is very harsh and critical to be like, it's okay, I hear you. And we can just turn down your volume a little bit because I can actually sit down and rest, and that is actually more productive for me. Because
absolutely.
I know what I get like. I'm a manifesting generator, so I normally like to have a million things going all at once, and then I end up overwhelming myself. And then
Yeah.
I throw my hands up in the air and I go, I can't do anything. If I know to put
Mm.
rest within my workflow, I'm so much more inspired, creative, softened in my feminine. Everything turns out better. You can tell the energy that I put into things when I am well rested. Uh,
Absolutely. And also too, I find personally with the women I work with and myself, you get to understand yourself and then, and you can really feel that steadiness then within you of, yeah, that's almost like the gauge of knowing your truth, isn't it? That when you can come back into that, and then you can feel steady in that knowing, and then that
mm,
doesn't come from outside of ourselves. We've certainly, as girls and as young women, and then as women, we're in a society that really does create this illusion of everything that we need more to become more beautiful, or we need this product to not look like we're aging. Like everything is around how we look, and it's an illusion. It's one of the greatest illusions, I think, for women, especially our young women. And I really, really invite this shift in our culture to come back to knowing ourselves well, knowing and trusting, just feeling that trust inside that, yeah, that we can actually trust ourselves. Mm,
mm. That has been like an absolute point for me lately, is that you don't have to prove your value to
yeah,
anyone, anything. That just because society demands you to prove yourself, your value is how you care for yourself,
yeah,
how kind you are to yourself, how much rest you bring into your life, who you turn up for as a person, as a soul, as an energy. It's not the external like validating your value
that's
by pushing, 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 always giving those parts of yourself away, those
yeah,
really important parts. And without those parts all being intact, like it's so important for a holistic point of view of ourselves.
yeah,
Like you mentioned earlier, like your inkling into something being out of alignment with your body was your ability to tune in and run through the energy of your body and it doesn't feel quite right.
yeah.
That might be something I need to follow up with, like following your intuition with the nudges your body was physically giving you. If we don't have the rest, we don't have the pause, where do we learn this?
Absolutely, Sarah. And as a holistic counselor, there's a really big part of being able to look at not just one area of our life. We are connected. We're
Mm,
not separate. We're not separate from nature. We're not separate from each other. We're all connected. And so is our life. And looking at something holistically, yeah, there's the key. Absolutely. And being able to feel it in our body. Yeah, like, just pausing enough. Yeah, doing it right now, just pausing, just those little pauses. And you can actually really just feel and hear. But sometimes we don't want to feel because it's not always pleasant and it is uncomfortable. Absolutely. So just feeling the sensation in the body, it's not always blissful. So I really just want to acknowledge that too, and being able to feel the uncomfortable and yeah, the parts of ourselves that we don't always love. That's really important to be able to still feel that and just to be able to bring that love there. And yeah, self-abandonment, that was one of my big things too before breast cancer. And just all the ways that we or I was abandoning myself. And it shows up in little ways. It's subtle sometimes. It's not always big. And just being able to bring that self-love and self-care back again. Mm.
What can you give us some examples of ways that you were self-abandoning, just in case anyone's sitting there going, "Oh, I do that. That's me."
Yeah. I think people pleasing is a big one. And not so much, yeah, people pleasing in a way that was happening for me where I was working in a job that great job, nothing wrong with the job. I really enjoyed it. But I could feel in my body the exhaustion of, as women juggling and putting on all the different hats and moving so swiftly from one thing to the next and really not pausing enough, not pausing to really, yeah, to really honor myself. So I kept pushing and one of my catchphrases back then was, I didn't want to let them down. How could, I couldn't step back from my work. I didn't want to let, the people I was working with down. So that was a really big way that I was self-abandoning rather than saying, hang on, my health is important and I'm important, my worth and my life force. It was depleted. So that was a really big, and then obviously a health crisis was at the end of that for me, which actually gave me no choice but to stop. And I really did stop. And then I began a really long journey back to self-love. Very much so.
I can see the transformation on your face, like even as you're describing how a health crisis, like your face just it implores the vulnerability of you going, okay, well, I'm at crisis point. I can make a decision to change. I can transform this into something that's going to serve me. And it's amazing how it just radiates from you. Have you had any feedback from someone who is at that point where they're in a health crisis? They've come to you and they're going, what's my next step?
Yeah, absolutely. I do work with, yeah, I think magnetically you attract the women that want to work with you where you're at as well. We know that. Yeah, and I think the way that I work is very gentle and it's very empowering and it's very uplifting, but it is gentle because sometimes, that, yeah, my way is not to push. My way is to encourage and to really support. And I want the women to do it for themselves. Because if I'm going to push them into something, that's not going to help. It might actually push you off the ledge. And, yes, you might need that, and you might. But quite often the women that come are looking for support and nourishment, like that just to feel in their body, come back to their body, like how to actually feel again. Maybe there's that numbness. Yeah, how to feel. Mm.
And that is a massive it's a massive epidemic, let's say, out there in society where women have just like chopped off from their body, and the word embodiment can feel so foreign when you are disconnected from your body. Like what we're talking about, being able to scan your own energy and feel what's out of alignment in your body can feel like an absolute foreign language when you are in that place where, for whatever reason, and we do it for all different reasons, where we just disassociate from our bodies, to come back and allow yourself to be held and feel safe and actually start reconnecting those threads from the brain, the body, bringing in the energy, like feeling your soul connection coming through is absolutely beautiful. And often when we talk about being in the work or doing the work, to break it down simply, it can be just like bringing yourself back into your body,
That's
allowing yourself to feel.
Yeah, and I think you've touched on a really good point there too, Sarah, around safety. And I feel like offering a safe space for women to come back into their nervous system. You know, like I know what it feels like to have a dysregulated nervous system. I grew up in chaos. I know that feeling well. To actually come back to that state of regulation is probably the most important thing in my work. And offering that through energy, which is really just laying down and receiving the gentle hands and the gentle, recalibration and tuning and resonance, coming back into resonance. And yeah, so it's all gentle work and it's all very healing and it's all very empowering. And it's our birthright. It is our absolute birthright to feel that. And in the society and the busy world that we're in, we're all in it and it's moving very fast. And I don't know about you, but I heard next year from the numerology is going to be even faster. And I'm like, whoa, how can it get any faster?
My heart just contracted then. Really?
Yeah. So here straight away, I'm like, let's flip this. This is so important now to slow down, to tune back in, and to really take that, almost like get that, feel that power from within again. You know, we're externalizing so much, and we don't have to give that power away. We've got that here. So
Mm.
learning how to, yeah, come back into the body, gentle movements. It could be dance, it could be yoga, it could be just anything that speaks to you. It doesn't have to be difficult, and simplicity is the way. Let's not overcomplicate it.
Let's not overcomplicate it.
Yeah,
It's so often we can jump down too many rabbit holes all at once and go, I need to do all the things all at once. And if you're already coming from a place of dysregulation, the connection is trying to do too much all at once is just going to emphasize that.
you know, one of my favorite things, Sarah, is, and this is the simplicity of it, is just to go and get your feet barefoot on the earth, on the grass, just to step outside, just that really simple action can actually really, you'll feel it straight away. Back to your breath. So standing on the earth, feet on the grass, and just taking that just that slow breath in and then that slow exhale. That's sometimes
Mm.
enough just for your nervous system to go, oh, hang on, I remember that. I
Mm.
remember that. Because it's remembering. We've been there and now we've got to remember how to come
Mm.
back there.
It is such a beautiful practice. I actually had some news earlier on that fired me up. It got the anger flowing, and I took myself out and did that exact thing. I looked at my tree with my beautiful rainbow lorikeets in it,
Yeah,
barefoot on the grass, and I just went, okay, let's get present here. What
yeah,
truly matters, and took those breaths of just pure good oxygen and just reminded myself just to like let the ego go, just
yeah.
come back to it. And I knew we were going to be having this chat. And so it was that reminder of, Sarah, what kind of energy do you want to be putting out there? And I think in that moment when you are standing barefoot, you get to choose. You get to choose when you exhale what energy you are bringing to this world. And it's such a beautiful moment.
And I think you get to choose is very important, isn't it? Just those words. You get to choose. You're choosing what you create in the world. We're all choosing every single moment. We're choosing. We get
Mm.
to. Yeah, beautiful.
You touched on that earlier on, like it's easy to get stuck in that victim flow. And these things are happening to us, but we get to choose everything.
Yeah.
So, calling in the things that may not feel so good, we get to flip it around. And with practice, that gets easier to identify and easier to change. And with the tools that we continuously practice, it helps us bring that into effect more often. I think it's always funny, when I talk about different tools that I like to use, and I'm like, you've got to continue your practice when times are great, when you're
Mm,
feeling blissful, when you're enjoying everything in life and you're feeling 100%, because it's in that practice, that muscle memory, that when you are feeling low,
yeah.
when things are hitting the fan, and you really, really are struggling to grasp your practices, they're not flowing for you. It's when you've got them practiced, when times are great, all the in betweens, they will be so much more supportive when
Yeah.
times are down.
I'm a really big fan of a morning routine. And I think that's the Ayurvedic side of my work, the dinacharya, that morning routine and setting yourself up well in the morning. It will flow into your day. And like you said, yeah, when things are good, keep it going. It becomes then something that the mind will feel safe in because the mind will be like, oh, hang on, I've got a job. I don't need to worry. I don't need to feel anxious because I've got a job. The mind can only do one thing at a time. So let's give it a job, and that is to keep us safe. And a morning routine can do that. And also, I feel like one of the simplest things in the morning is before you get out of bed or before I get out of bed, I just hands on your belly, hands on your womb, maybe hands on the heart and just how do I feel today? So rather than starting in the mind of what do I need to do today, how do I feel today? And that can just reframe it just enough to come back into the body before the mind kicks in into the to-do list, which is reality as well.
It's it's a interesting life that we lead, and
Yeah.
there are moments we have to be in the doing, and moments we can be in the body. What do you want to share your morning routine with us? What does it look like for you?
There's some things that are non-negotiable in my morning routine, but I'll give you just a little snapshot of that would be, yeah, so coming straight away into how do I feel today rather than what do I need to do today? How do I feel? Now, I am a bit of an Ayurvedic lover, so I do tongue tongue scraping. Yeah, like I really love that. Brush my teeth. I have chooks. I have chooks, cat, dog, two girls. So mornings can be busy, but I make sure I get up before my kids get up. I've always done that. And I know that's not going to suit everybody. But I've really felt that mornings are so precious that I really want a little part of it to myself so I can connect with nature very much first thing. So having nature in my morning is a big part. So I will go to the chooks first, walk on down, sort them out. Then I take a walk myself, maybe some yoga. That's my practice personally. But always nature connection in the morning, some journaling, and yeah, cup of tea, and just that little bit of quiet time before the world awakes, like just so I can really start from a place that feels really grounded. And then whatever comes in next, that's okay because I've actually taken that time for myself first. So I don't feel resentful where I've been there before. I've been there before, like where I haven't taken that time for myself. And then someone else asks something, especially as a mom, someone else asks something from you, which is perfectly okay. But if I haven't actually given that to myself first, then I can feel a little resentful. Yeah, that does creep in.
Oh, I can resonate definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that whole thing of serve yourself first, and then you've got that overflow that you're more happy then to give that out because you've actually got that. Hmm. But that's a
Absolutely.
practice in itself, right?
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And I personally feel like that's such a humbling practice because there are times where I know it's on me because I wasn't more dedicated to filling myself up first. And so I know that's on me. And then there's other times where I go, okay, this is life. This is life. And I get to choose how I'm going to go about this. Am I going to do that thing holding resentment in my heart? Or am I just going to let it go and choose to be like, okay, we are rolling differently today. And that
Yeah,
is also okay. And be really kind on myself and look at it with compassion.
that's right. And then tomorrow is a whole new day. So you get that choice to start again the next day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Tomorrow is a whole new day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I love it, Michelle. I love it. If you if you had someone come to you and they were in the thick of the darkness, let's say, what would be your starting point with them?
Mm. Starting point would be, I can feel it would be a cup of tea and a really gentle conversation, just to really understand. So to really listen and really hear that person. So yeah, really listening and hearing that person. And yeah, and then working out from there where we would need to go. I feel like for energy work would be a really beautiful place to start there. So looking at, yeah, some Reiki and just some really healing that is nurturing and actually moving into the energy and yeah, and letting them guide perhaps a little bit of depending on where they're at. But yeah, just using some of the beautiful Reiki healing energy and some light and just being able to create a little bit of flow there and some lightness. So then we can move forward then from there. But until the nervous system starts to feel safe and starts to relax, it's really hard then to move forward until we can create that safety. Safety is a big part. Yeah, absolutely. So depending on what that experience is for that person, yeah, I would say let's create safety first.
I love that. When you started speaking, I could just imagine just hands running down their back, like that calming energy. Um, and I love that you're a holistic counselor and energetic work and sound, which is very similar. Well, it's very similar to me. Like I'm holistic counselor and energy and sound as well. And
Amazing.
yeah, and I love
Mm.
that bringing all the modalities together because holistic counseling, you still do some talk, you still do talk therapy within that, but it's very much led with what you need on the day and your circumstances. It's not so structured as other traditional therapies, which is,
Absolutely.
yeah, which I
I,
think some people don't realize.
Yeah. I've had clients that come in and are, one doesn't want to talk. And so we message before and she says, I really don't want to talk today. Great. So we do a whole non-speaking, like we just make it into a really energetic practice. Then there's others that want to talk the whole time. Um, Sometimes we might do a shaking meditation. We might just literally put on the music and we do some somatic shaking, coming back into the body, releasing that way. There's so many different tools. Goal setting. Sometimes a client might actually want the goal setting and working on something that way. Another client might like to practice how they, maybe they're working up to a goal and they want to be able to say something to a person, but they don't know how to. So maybe being able to practice that as well. It can look like so many different things. Yeah,
Mm. And that is the beauty of it. It's not having to choose one practitioner for one specific thing. There are so many approach. So you get exactly what you need when you go and visit the practitioner that's aligning with you.
definitely. Especially if I imagine you're the same, Sarah. If you're an intuitive practitioner and you've done your own intuitive healing, yeah, sometimes you feel you know what someone, yeah, you just get a feeling, don't you? You can really feel that. And then being able to tune into that person is incredibly important. Yeah. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love the work.
I love it too. And the rapport you build with someone, like it, words can't even explain. When you are able, when someone feels safe enough to let you into their energy space and you can actually create that flow and exchange between you, like words actually don't describe how special that is. Like that is such a unique connection.
Yeah, it's actually a privilege, isn't it? It's an absolute privilege. And I feel like my goal is to not, yes, I want to work with that person and really help them to return to the harmonious state, their natural state of being, and empower them that they don't actually need to come and see me. That's the perfect end goal. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's getting out of the system our society has created of dependence, and it's relearning, remembering yourself as a whole body that can, move through these journeys. And at some point, you will be the one that goes, I know exactly what to do for myself in this situation. And that is the best feeling.
Yeah, we're not creating dependence. Absolutely, I agree. And it's empowering. Yeah, absolutely
Mm,
empowering that person, that woman to have those tools. They just need a little bit of guidance and remembering of how to access that. But that
mm,
wisdom, it's already inside. The body knows what to do. Totally, the body knows what to do. And then maybe they can just come and connect in with other women at a women's circle, so they've still got that ongoing community, but actually they know how to work with themselves.
mm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love this world that is expanding out there. The more conversations we have, the more lightness we bring to this area. It's not hidden in the shadows anymore. It's not that woo-woo
Yeah.
spiritual, like hiding like in the closet. No, this is such a beautiful way to live and embrace ourselves and embrace the light and the dark that we bring to this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Great. There.
Yes. All right, Michelle, I have 3 questions I would love to wrap up our chat with today. How do you embody your empress?
How do I embody my empress? I embody my empress as a sovereign woman, and I bring choice and I bring responsibility into my choices. So I take responsibility for my choices. And yeah, and I just honor me. So the last thing I do before I go to bed is I say goodnight to my girls. And it's like, but then I say goodnight to myself as well. So I say, you speak to yourself in the same way you would to a child. So good night, beautiful, or good night, like just to, because we don't do that enough, do we? So I always like to say good night to myself as well.
I love that.
Yeah. I
Oh, I
hope
love
everyone can use that because
that.
that's the simplicity of it. Like it doesn't have to be complicated. And that's just shifting those patterns of honoring ourselves.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And you think so many people out there with sleep issues going, I have to go to sleep, I have to get to sleep. And we start that mental chatter away. If we just flipped it and we go, okay, we're going to approach this with kindness and speak to us. Oh my gosh, so many levels of that can
Yeah.
work. Oh,
That's a whole nother podcast.
oh, I love it, Michelle. I'm going to be trying that tonight. You know it.
Right.
Okay. What does your Empress energy feel like?
Radiant. Radiant.
Love, love, love. And it literally is radiating from you. Your smile is contagious. And what are your parting words of wisdom for inspiring your nation out there?
Hmm. Just to rest in your being. Rest in your being. There's enough push and doing in the world. Just come back and rest in your being. It's enough. You
Mm,
are enough.
you are enough. You
Mm.
are so enough. I love that. Thank you so much, Michelle. My heart is just so expanded and so full from our chat today. I know that
Thanks.
everyone listening is going to be taking something away.
Oh, beautiful. Thanks, Sarah. It's been so lovely to talk with you today. And I realize we've got a lot in common actually in the work that we do. Yeah.
Me too. And it's all about getting out there and supporting that next woman that comes along and forming those sisterhood connections. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love your work in the world. Thank you.
You too. Thanks, Sarah.